confident are you in Team USA winning the gold?
Not super confident. I think that they'll be competitive. They may be the odds-on favorite, but it's not like, look, guys, here's the team that we would send that would win the gold, okay? Without any question, 100%. Here's a starting five. You tell me where I'm telling any lies. Steph, Harden, LeBron, KD, Kawhi. There's no way to beat that team. By the way, Damian Lillard and AD off the bench. It would crush everybody. And that's what we used to do when we finally started sending our pros. We're like, look at us, we're the best in the world. And then in '88, we sent, Charles Smith and Stacey Augmon and Dan Marley, good players, but not our very best players. And we lose. Then we got serious and made a dream team. And then again in '04, Okafor and Steph Marbury and Sean Marion, nice players, but in their day they were good, but that wasn't our best squad, and we lose. Now, I get it. Guys are aging. They've played for Team USA a lot. They want to rest. I'm not saying, hey, LeBron, you need to play. I get it. But this is what happens when you start sending your kind of third-tier team. You could wind up losing. This is the kind of team that can lose in the Olympics.
Well, it could lose, but am I confident they will not lose? Yes, I think they'll win. But I will say this. Listen, I'm very fond. I like Kevin Love, but what is he doing on his team? He played 25 games last year. A couple of years ago, how many games did he play? He played 22 games. Last season, he played 56 games. I mean, he's missed a lot of games over the last couple of years, and I'm just wondering, I know he could play, I know he could shoot, but when you miss that much time, I mean, don't you need to focus on your NBA career, even though it's only a couple of weeks in the summer, overseas or whatever? I mean, but don't you need to focus on playing here, and being healthy enough to play? That would be my only thing in regards to that. But am I confident that men's USA basketball could win? Yes, but here's the thing. And this is a weird kind of thing for me to say because I'm obviously, I'm a black man first, but I'm an American and I'm proud to be an American citizen. I'm patriotic in that regard. I kind of like the idea of it being up for grabs. I kind of like the idea of it being a challenge where we don't stack the deck per se. I kind of like it because we've already done it. We've shown how dominant we can be. See, we have to send a message. We had to send a message, after the Barcelona games, 1992 Olympic Dream Team and all of that stuff. And then we sort of dipped with Larry Brown coaching the team and all that stuff. You know how much I love Larry Brown. He's a Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest coaches I've ever seen. But he didn't ingratiate himself to the LeBrons, the Melos, the Allen Iversons of the world during Olympic competition. We get all of that. But what I'm saying is that because we've showed, particularly with Coach K coaching over the last 3 Olympics, we've obviously put our sheer dominance on display. I have no problem with it being up for grabs with some of the secondary stars or even lesser in the NBA representing Team USA and going and competing against teams in Europe, because we already know, the world knows, if we send our best, there's no competition. We've established that reality, and now that we've done that, there's nothing wrong with giving others shine and seeing what they bring to the table.
Well, I mean, I hear you, except that remember what it feels like when we actually win a bronze. That's not a good feeling. That it's like, that's why everyone plays. After we win a bronze, that's why we send a sick all-star, all-time dream team's killer squad, because we're like, oh, wait a minute. We thought we wanted it to be closer, but nah, we're not taking bronze, and we crush everyone.
But once we did it, though, and what I'm trying to say, Max, is that if we've done destroyed everybody and we've sent the message emphatically, if we send our best, you can't mess with us. There's nothing wrong after you send that message to now take some secondary dudes and say, well, we think we could beat you with that too.
Why not send the college kids? Stephen A., you identified the most interesting thing about this whole subject off the top, and it's something someone on our set knows something about. Someone in Molly's family. Jalen Rose brought up Kevin Love's presence on the team and said it was tokenism. That's like, it's not just like, why is he playing? Of course it's tokenism. Of course it is. Why? How else could Kevin Love, who has not played it, Kevin Love used to be an excellent, excellent player. A multiple-time All-Star, max contract player, 25-12, best player on a team that made or a 500 team in a vicious Western Conference. He hasn't been that in a while. Kevin Love hasn't been an all-star caliber player in years now. Why is he on the team? Like, that's what I mean. When you start, maybe he wants to showcase himself and maybe he gets traded or something. But if you want to do what you're saying, hey, let's give some other guys a shot, then put together a team that is actually our next level best player. And only with respect to that.
That is what I said. That's
yeah, I'm saying, but that's not what they did.
On the team.
But that's not what they did if Kevin Love's on.
That's my point. That's my point. I did say Kevin Love, what's he doing on the team? You know, now he's been injured. It's not like he's been on the court and he's a scrub. He's been injured. He hasn't played.
Sure.
I'm just saying that because you haven't played so much, your primary responsibility should be getting back healthy and playing back in the NBA as opposed to representing Team USA. But again, I don't mind. I love the fact that Bradley Beal is going to put his skills on display. Jason Tatum's going to put his skills on display. You got Damian Lillard and these boys. These are stars.
And
these are stars.
Our primary, you're right.
I don't think you need the LeBrons and KDs of the world to win this.
Kevin Love's primary responsibility should be to get healthy to play for his team. And Team USA's primary responsibility, putting the team together, should be to get to whether or not LeBron goes or the very, very best players go, to put a team together that they think will win, not worry about getting one white dude on the team to make sure there's some representation. And I totally agree with Jalen about that.
Yeah. They might get their butts kicked down low, dude. That's what I'm intrigued by Team USA as well, because we don't have any bigs, really. Bam Adebayo is not that big. Draymond Green is not a true big. Now, these are elite defenders. They can do some things. But them big boys in Europe, they put that meat, Jokic. They put that pork on them and lean on them a little bit. It might be a little bit different. Now, you got three-point shooters on this team to match the three-point shooters that are out there in Europe, and they can wreak havoc, and I get that. But he is a champion, a two-time champion and the two-time NBA Finals MVP. They're going to have to wake up and recognize the fact that you can end up being severely tarnished if this continues. Now, we all look at USA basketball, Team USA, Molly and Max, and we recognize something that has changed. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, in international play, the USA was a juggernaut, and they made you play their way. They were led by the stars, which is the point Max was making to his credit. Now, instead of forcing the Europeans to play their way, the Europeans have forced Team USA to play their way. Mm-hmm. That's why you got a roster filled with a bunch of shooters and no true big man presence. Your definition of a big man is Draymond Green and Bam Adebayo and Kevin Love, okay? So understand they're forcing you to play their way now. And by playing their way, you're not looking too great at doing it. In the end, we're not going to dissect it that way. In the end, we're going to sit up there and say when LeBron was playing, they won. When D-Wade was playing, they won. When Kobe was playing, they won. Even though Kevin Durant was on those teams too. But because he's clearly the leader of this team, and Damian Lillard is a superstar player, if they continue to lose like this, you're going to look at them and you're going to say, what the hell happened?
What's the problem with Team USA? It's the same problem in college when you have the most talented team, but they're a bunch of one-and-dones, and they play a team of guys. Maybe none of them will be NBA stars, but some of them might be in NBA rotations, but they played together for 2-3 years. They're upperclassmen now. They've played together. They've committed to each other, to the team, and they have some talent. They have some, like, real NBA-ish talent. They can beat a more talented team that hasn't played together for very long, that's not as committed or invested. That's why the upperclassmen of like a mid-major, they can beat a one-and-done powerhouse sometimes. And that's what's happening right now. This is like a one-and-done powerhouse. And when the Team USA is constructed, when you have, let's say it was a team of Steph, Harden, Kawhi, LeBron, and KD in the starting five, then none of this stuff matters because at a certain point, you have so much talent, it's just not going to matter. Look at the Brooklyn Nets whenever they were almost healthy, right? But when you start to degrade that roster, and now it's not all MVP caliber players, it's MVP caliber players with all-stars and maybe some guys who are only sometimes all-stars. Now these guys have to be committed. The teams that Team USA are playing, Stephen A., by and large, have multiple players, a core of players who have multi-year commitments to their country's team, to their national team, who've played together for some time, and have a handful of guys who can make NBA rosters, who are on NBA rosters. Who was Durant blocked by last night? Thibault, clean block. He can do that in the NBA, too. So yesterday, when we started, we said, is this roster a problem? I thought it was. Then yesterday we asked, after the first loss to Nigeria, is this a problem? I said, not yet. Now we see it as a problem. 2 losses in a row, we see it's a problem. They played better, but not well enough, consistently enough throughout the game. They're playing teams who want it more. This is the biggest stage they'll ever play on. Most of the team isn't hoping to win an NBA title one day, like most of Team USA is. They want it more. They're more committed. They play together. They've been playing together longer. Either Team USA really starts to want it and commit to each other, or we got to send even better players than we're sending now.
Wait, so is it want or talent?
Well, it's not about talent. I think it's the wanting. And I think that, think about it, when they lost, I think it was in 2004. I mean, as Larry Brown was coaching the team and what have you. And I mean, that was not a good thing. What was happening there was not a good thing with Iverson and the crew and LeBron and them on the younger that they were on the squad, and they did not win. And then they felt the need to elevate the level of urgency and get, Mike Krzyzewski up in there. Jerry Colangelo became managing director, and obviously you picked the star-studded roster, and they went and represented not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive Olympics from 2008 to 2016. Now you've gone the way back to 2004. In other words, we're at the top of the heap. We don't need to have the, quote, creme de la creme in order to win the gold, which is something that I still maintain. See, I'm not talking, I'm assuming that you're incredibly committed. I'm saying that from a talent perspective, there should be no issue. I'm looking at the talent on this squad. You should be playing better. You should be more effective. And right now, if Kevin Durant, who is clearly the face and the leader of this squad, is associated with a collapse in Olympic play, particularly coming off of what just happened to Brooklyn, as spectacular as he was, we all know that. Kyrie gets hurt. If Kyrie isn't hurt, I believe they're in the finals right now. All right, James Harden, same thing. But that doesn't negate the shrapnel of criticism that inevitably is going to come his way, because people out there are going to look at him as the leader, and this is what happened on your watch.
I have a question, one thing with something you said, Stephen A. When you say it's us not playing the European way, what do you mean by that?
Well, what happens is that the style of play itself, I mean, some of the rules that have been implemented, the fact that they built this roster the way that they have, you've got 3-point shooters. You don't have a true bona fide big man in the middle, and that matters. If Joe, not that he's from America, but if Joel Embiid was on this roster or somebody like that, that would be different. Because you'd have a big man presence to throw the ball to in the middle or whatever. But by having this roster assembled the way that you did, you basically said there's a style of play that they implement here, overseas, and we think that's the way to go. And it's not working for you.
When you think of all the best big men in the league, other than AD, who's like a 4-5, Embiid, not an American player.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Right, he wouldn't be playing for Team USA.
Not an American player.
Freak,
no,
not American.
So is the sport becoming more global? Is that part of the issue? And it's not that we're putting out a bad product?
No, not a bad product. It just goes without saying the rest of the world has caught up. That's why now it requires us, if you want to be assured of a gold, even if they haven't played together a long time, Steph, Harden, Kawhi, LeBron, KD would never not win every game. They're just not capable of not winning every game. But once you get any lower than the greatest team ever, you can lose. Because, think about it like this. Let's say you took an all-star team.
Yeah.
And not all starters, 3 starters and 2 reserves on an all-star team. And they played a team that didn't